organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV.
Internet speed in Iowa City slow for you. Find out if the price you pay is up to par with your speed next.
And college curbing the amount of young people in the pews. It may be the case for minority students at least. Our story coming up.
And in sports, 5 things to know from the Drake Relays.
Daily Iowan TV starts now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Matt Starnes.
And I'm Brianna Jett.
If your internet speed feels too slow, it probably is. Our own Jordan Mickle found out why you may not be surfing at the speed you paid for.
Ever wonder why your internet speed runs slower than usual? Or why you keep seeing those dreaded loading symbols? Through data provided by speed testing site Ookla, the average download speed in Iowa City is not even 84%, compared to a less than 80% upload speed than what is advertised. Ronnie Mola of the Wall Street Journal said most major internet service providers deliver slower speeds than advertised to their customers.
They were able to see what they subscribed to. Let's say I was getting 25 megabits per second download or supposed to, but I was actually only getting 20, and that's how they determined if the percentage of faster or slower than promised.
But before blaming local internet providers on false advertising, the drop in speed could also be the result of an even bigger issue: net neutrality. Basically, with net neutrality, it prevents internet providers from speeding up or slowing down web content based on its source. So if you're running a TV, laptop, and phone through internet all at the same time, it can cut down on bandwidth availability and therefore make things slower. How do you watch movies?
Online websites, Netflix, just wherever you can find a movie.
Netflix.
I would say typically Netflix.
And that could be part of the problem as well. Local providers have fiber optic cables that you can buy, and while it may be more expensive than standard internet, it is one way to increase your speed. Jordan Mickle, Daily Iowan TV.
Thanks, Jordan. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and for over 20 years, the local Rape Victim Advocacy Program has been part of a national assault awareness project. Today, the Iowa City Clothesline Project was on display in the Old Capitol Mall. These clotheslines held hundreds of shirts that speak out against all types of human-to-human harm. Victims of abuse and those who support them use these shirts to visually explain their harmful experiences to the public. Organizers say words may not always be the best way for victims to start their healing process, and some say this form of expression has always been the most effective.
Every time we put it up, I see something that I either didn't see before or something that strikes me differently. It's very, very powerful.
Today was the only day the project was on display, but RVAP will host the event again next April.
Once people find their trust in God, finding a church is the next step, but some African American students are finding it hard to practice their Christian faith in Iowa City. Daily Iowan TV's Selena Carr spoke with local pastors to find out why students aren't attending church.
At the historically African American Bethel AME Church, you'll see Pastor Dial and his church family full of black professors, children, and community members. Yet at some services, you might not see any black college students in the pews.
There are probably 6 who attend fairly regularly, and of that 6, I think 3 are grad students and then 3 are undergrads.
Students might find a church like Bethel, but having the faith to walk through the doors can prove to be a bigger challenge. While the challenge of getting to church exists, Pastor Dial also understands the struggle for students to find a place like home.
They may be accustomed to a different style of service than we have, but many people who come here say one of the reasons they do come here is if it's not what they are accustomed to at home, it's very close to it and they have a comfort level.
Student Del Marie Nelson attends Bethel, but before, she found it difficult finding a church that matched her cultural background and spiritual needs. She believes other minority students may feel the same.
Not a lot of minority churches, and so it can be difficult for students to find it, but if they're okay with adapting, then they'll be fine.
Across town, the Kingdom Center tries to replicate home for college students. Senior Pastor Vince Allen realizes students' concerns.
I can understand the minority challenge in assimilating and relating to the culture that we're surrounded by.
While young believers have to find a spiritual dwelling, Pastor Allen believes ministry should find a way to reach students.
We have to meet halfway. I will come on campus. I will provide services. I will, create a presence. However, you must answer the call as well.
There are many churches in Iowa City. Now it's up to the students to find what place feels like home. Selena Carr, Daily Iowan TV.
Thanks, Selena. Updates on the tornado that hit Keokuk County Sunday. 2 people have now been confirmed dead after injuries during the storm. On Sunday, a 50-year-old woman died and another woman was injured. Authorities have not confirmed if the death reported Tuesday was the same woman injured on Sunday.
Going down south, they too have been experiencing some harsher weather. At least 11 deaths were reported in Mississippi, Alabama, and Tennessee. The severe twisters ripped through parts of the South, destroying many homes and lives. There were at least 2 deaths reported from Alabama.
We have had some interesting weather of our own. Hot, cold, warm, rainy. It goes on. We are going to hand it over to Daily Iowan TV's Hannah Thompson.
Hey guys, yes, today's weather has been a little bit confusing, though through the rest of the week, things look to be pretty consistent, but unfortunately not with the type of weather that we're looking for. Tonight we have a low of 40 degrees and it will stay in the low 40s for Wednesday's morning high. The afternoon temps will get up to 49 with cloudy skies, and as the sun goes down, temperatures will fall as well to 45 degrees. The next couple of days have those umbrellas ready because there will be a high chance of rain up through Thursday. Taking a look to the rest of the week, Thursday will have a high around 50 degrees, and thankfully some spring temperatures will be on the rise for Friday and Saturday with highs in the low to mid 60s. Sunday will keep that trend of the weekend staying in the 60s and will carry over into our Monday. Well, that's all I have for you here today in the weather studio. Brianna and Matt, back to you.
Thanks, Hannah. We're going to toss it over to Daily Iowan TV's Aaron Faust now for this week's edition of Street Chatter, where we ask students what seems to be the hot topic on the street. Aaron?
Sports, and even more sports. Hockey and basketball are the hot topics hitting campus right now. From anywhere to Blackhawks jerseys to Bulls shirts, the next couple of weeks are going to have fans on the edge of their seat. Daily Iowan TV's Taylor Smith went out to see just what teams students are rooting for and more.
Where do you plan on watching the NBA playoffs?
I'll probably just be watching it at my fraternity house, Delta Chi.
I watch a lot of the NBA playoffs at friends' houses or bars like DC's downtown.
Either at home or with all the buddies, or maybe at Summit, because they have the absolute best coverage of those types of games.
And who are you rooting for?
The Miami Heat.
The Bulls all the way. I know we're down 3-1, but I definitely think we can come back.
I'm rooting for the Atlanta Hawks. They're beating the Pacers right now, and they're definitely the underdogs, and I like cheering for the underdogs, so I'm going for the Atlanta Hawks.
Where do you plan on watching the hockey playoffs?
Probably at DC's. Either my apartment or my fraternity.
And who are you rooting for?
Chicago Blackhawks.
I'm rooting for the Blackhawks all the way.
Chicago Blackhawks.
Blackhawks all the way.
I honestly hope the Blackhawks and the Bulls win it all. Chicago all the way. If you're a fan or just there for a good time with friends, tweet us your teams and traditions at DITV News. Matt, Brianna, back to you.
NBA Commissioner Adam Silver announced today that troubled Clippers owner Donald Sterling is banned for life from attending any NBA activities. The decision comes after an investigation of the owner's alleged racist comments recorded by his girlfriend about associating with minorities and bringing them to Clippers games.
For more on the fallout of the ban and everything else in the sports world, we're going to toss it on over to our own Kevin Glick in Daily Iowan TV Sports Studio. Kevin?
Thanks, guys. Our 5 Things crew is going to bump me off set in just a bit, but first we have reaction from across the league in the wake of the Donald Sterling ban. Much of the NBA is rejoicing over the fact that the NBA Commissioner Adam Silver banned the longtime Clippers owner from the league. Shaquille O'Neal, Jason Collins, and Magic Johnson, just a few players tweeting out their responses to the lifetime ban. In order for Sterling to be officially removed from owning the Clippers, a 3/4 vote from NBA owners must vote Sterling out of the NBA's Board of Governors. In his press conference earlier today, Commissioner Silver stated that he had the full support of the league's owner in his decision. Back in Iowa City, baseball is almost through with their season for the Hawkeyes, with under 10 games remaining in the regular season. Daily Iowan TV Sports' Jalen Socek explored the Black and Gold's chances to get back into the postseason.
This season, Iowa hopes to make a trip to Omaha, but not quite for the College World Series just yet. In under just a month, the Big Ten tournament will be taking place in the Cornhusker State for the first time since Nebraska joined the Big Ten Conference. And another first, they'll be evening things out with 8 teams invited instead of only 7. Iowa, who is currently 7th place, stands a pretty good chance at making the tournament with 9 Big Ten games left in their season. Iowa has only made the tournament 8 times since it was created in 1981, their last appearance dating back to 2010. Right now, Iowa is being led by Jake Yalcinich, Dan Pompton, and Eric Toole, who all are hitting above 400. Toole has also driven 8 home runs for the Hawks. Iowa will be returning for their final 9 games of the season, starting things off with a 3-game series against number 8 in the conference, Ohio State. This is Jalen Socek, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Now, the Hawks were supposed to take on Milwaukee tonight, but that game was canceled due to the weather forecast. Rick Keller's squad has a few days off before heading down to Columbus for a 3-game set against the Buckeyes. The final 2 games of the series can be caught on Big Ten Network. Basketball season a long way away, but Fran McCaffrey added a new member of the team on Monday. Nicholas Baer announced on Twitter that he is joining the Hawks in Carver Hawkeye Arena this fall. The former Bettendorf star averaged 15.3 points per game, 8 rebounds a game, while hitting 63.2% from the floor during his senior year. Baer added a 73.4% clip from the charity stripe on his way to being named the Mississippi Athletic Conference Player of the Year. Baer joins Brady Ellingson, Dominique Ohl, and Trey Dickerson, in Fran McCaffrey's 2014 recruiting class. It's finally time for the 5 Things crew to kick me off set. What do we have to learn from this past weekend's Drake Relays, girls?
Welcome to 5 Things. This past weekend, a number of Hawkeyes were sent to the most renowned track and field meet in Iowa.
It really is one of the bigger meets in the country, so not too surprising if even Olympians show up. Lolo Jones was in attendance this year.
And if you can be a champion at the Drake Relays and bring home that white flag, you're in pretty good shape for the season.
Tonight we're going to give you the top 5 spots the Hawkeyes took at the relays, and we're going to start with the sprint medley relays. The men's team made up of James Harrington, Aaron Mallett, Brennan Davey, and Will Teeble, clocking in at 3:20.08 to finish 5th.
At our number 4 spot, we have the women's who finished 4th with a time of 3:51.18. Brittany Brown, Lake Quaza, Alexis Guster, and Mani Watts now hold the second fastest time in school history.
The men's 400-meter relay team got their second best time of the season, clocking in at 39.99. The senior Tevin Seamancy and his guys O'Shea Wilson, Brendan Thompson, and Keith Brown finished in 7th place.
Gabe Hull was the first champion of the Drake Relays for Iowa with a discus toss of 60.05 meters. He is the first Hawks to win the discus title since 1928 when Robert Mitchell threw for 43.22 meters.
At our number 1 spot, a first ever relay title in school history, the women's 400-meter relay team blasted through a 10-year-old school record and came out champions. Lake Quaza, Alexis Guster, Alexis Hernandez, and Brittany Brown beat out Ohio State at a photo finish with a time of 44.63.
All I can say is it sounds like there's going to be a lot to look forward to this season, especially that young 4x1.
I'd have to agree with you, Taylor. They'll have a bright and fast future, and that's all we'll have time for tonight. But make sure you're back with us next week for 5 more things.
Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Taylor and Jalen, and only with Daily Iowan TV can you get an inside look at tomorrow's pages of the Daily Iowan. Hopefully you've been following along with our own reporter Megan Sanchez's series 1 in 5, a series covering mental illness in Iowa City. Tomorrow's story will feature a woman named Margalia Warner. She suffers from schizophrenia, a mental illness that causes people to have trouble differentiating between what is real and what is not. Margalia is a firm believer that recovery looks different for everyone, and she has some pretty amazing ways of recovering herself. Be sure to read the 3rd and final piece in the series 1 in 5 tomorrow in the Daily Iowan.
That's all we have for you tonight. Catch up with us tomorrow at any time. Tomorrow night at the same time, or at any time online at dailyiowan.com.
Have a great night.
Iowa SJMC.
Want a major that'll take you somewhere? I joined and now I'm in Los Angeles, California, interning for Conan O'Brien at Warner Brothers Studios.
I joined and now I'm working in public relations for diabetes research.
SJMC.